All right, today we are going to talk about chapter 6.6 from Algebra 2, which is really solving radical equations. So what that means, what our objective is to solve equations that have roots or rational exponents in them. So let's look at this. First thing, let's look at a radical equation here. I want to solve for x in this problem. Well, what do? What's the opposite of that square root? Remember, the opposite of square root is to square. So remember, whatever I do on one side of the equal sign, I have to do on the other side. So I want to square that, which means I need to square that as well. The square root and the square cancel each other out, so it's just 5x minus 9 left on the left side. And then we do 11 squared, which is 121. Now we just solve from here. So we get 5x equals 130, which means that x equals 26. All right, that's when everything is underneath a square root. You can simply just square both sides. But what happens if not everything is underneath the radical? Well, as you can see from the side there, we need to isolate that radical. So what that means is solve like it is its own little piece. So I'm going to take this, and I'm really going to forget about that for a second here. Actually, I'll use a different color than black. So I'm going to look at that, and I'm going to use that later. And I'm just going to imagine it's something else in here. So I'm just going to look at it like it is something, I'm going to call it y. Plus 3 equals 7. Now, we'd have to simplify this, get rid of everything outside of the radical before we do that. So really, we subtract 3 first. So we get 2 times the cubed root of y equals 7. Or sorry, not 7. We subtracted 3, so it's 4. Divide by 2, so we get the cubed root of y equals 2. And then we cube both sides because we need to get rid of that cubed root, so we cube both sides, so that means that y equals 8. Now we really aren't looking for y equals 8, so I'm going to go back here a second. We're looking for where x minus 3 equals 8. So really what I did there was I did 2 times the cube root of x minus 3 equals 4. Then I divided by 2, so the cube root of x minus 3 equals 2. Now you cube both sides, so cube, and we get x minus 3 equals 8. So really, that's the same thing. I just substituted out the x minus 3 for y so you could see why I have to do that. But now really all we have to do is add 3 to both sides, so x equals 11. Now I should check my answer to make sure this works. So I'm going to plug it in. X minus 3 is 8. The cube root of 8 is 2. 2 times 2 is 4. 4 plus 3 is 7. So it does work. All right, well, what if I have rational exponents here? If I have that right there, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to look at this piece by itself and isolate that as well. So just like I did before, I need to get that by itself. What do? It's 7 times that. I divide by 7 first. So I get x to the 3/5 equals 8. Now you have options. You could go, so there's 2 ways you can do this. First way you could do is you could rewrite x to the 3/5 as the 5th root of x cubed equals 8. And if we did it that way, we would cube root both sides first. So to get rid of that cubed, we would cube root both sides. And we'd end up with the 5th root of x equals 2. Now again, to get rid of that 5th root, we raise it to the 5th power, which means we end up with x equals 32. Now the other way you could do it is you could look at that exponent. You could know your rules of exponents. So what do I need to multiply, or not multiply, raise to the power of? Because remember, when I raise to the power of a power, we multiply those. To make it so it's x to the 1st power, well, I would do x to the 3/5 to the 5/3, and that would equal 8 to the 5/3. So it's doing the same exact thing, except for it's not rewriting it in the radical form, because if we multiply these pieces here, we're going to end up with 15 over 15. X to the 15/15 is x to the 1st, which is just x. And the right side is going to become the cube root of 8 to the 5th power. Notice it's really the same exact thing of what we just did, except for it's writing it in a different way. So really it becomes x to the 2 to the 5th, or sorry, x equals 2 to the 5th, which is x equals 32. Same thing no matter which way you go. choose which way you like better, do it that way. All right, that top problem, we'll let you guys try that one first. I'm going to put the answers up here quick, so make sure you check your work. All right, here's what I got for my answer. Notice that every step I took, I changed the color. So if you guys look at the steps, they're in different colors there so you can tell where it goes. All right, let's look at what if we have radicals on both sides. Well, the big thing we need to make sure we have is, do we have the same radical? Notice we have square roots on both sides. Well, how do I get rid of square roots? Well, I square it. So if I square my left side, that means I have to square my right side. So what happens to my square roots? Well, they both cancel out. So really all we're left with is 2x minus 5 equals x plus 7. A far easier problem than I think you guys really look at it and see. You see it being two radicals on the same side or both sides and you get scared. They cancel each other out when you square both sides. Now you just have a simple algebraic equation. So you subtract x, so you get x minus 5 equals 7. Add 5, so you get x equals 12. Now we should check our answer here, make sure it works. Now notice when I check my answer, I don't need to go simple or make it an actual number, a rational number here. It's a radical number, the square root of 19. It's a fully simplified way I have to go. That's all I have to go further because I know the square root of 19 equals the square root of 19. So it works. All right, so let's try this one. I want you guys to try that one on your own. I'll put up the answer in a second. All right, here's my answer. Notice again that I changed colors every time I did a new step, and I showed every single step that I took to do this. Please let me know if you guys have questions on this. Check your work. Now, in my opinion, I think these are probably the hardest questions here, is when I have a square root on one side and I have another expression on the other side that has a variable in it. So, for instance, the square root of 9x equals x minus 4. So again, how do I get rid of this? How do I simplify this? Well, we have to square both sides. Square both sides. And now you look, we really end up with 9x equals x minus 4 times x minus 4 squared. Biggest mistake folks are going to do is they're going to distribute that squared and make it x squared minus 16. Do not do that. I like to call that killing puppies. You just killed puppies when you distribute that squared there. Because x minus 4 squared is not x squared minus 16 or x squared plus 16 either. It's x minus 4 times x minus 4. I like to call that killing puppies if you do not do that, if you distribute it. So don't kill puppies. All right, so again, it's not really, you're not going to kill puppies. It's just a saying. Anyways, distribute this through, so we end up with 9x equals, and I'm going to go fast, x squared minus 8x plus 16. Now we have to solve from there. So we're going to subtract 9x from both sides, and we get 0 equals x squared minus 17x plus 16. Now we're back to factoring. Going back to factoring here. So we get 0 equals x minus 16, x minus 1, which means we have two solutions now. Our solutions are x equals 16 or x equals 1. But now we have to go and we have to check our answers because not all of these answers are going to work. We have to check our solution. So let's check both of them. I'm going to check x equals 16 first. So I'm going to put that up here quick. And notice that 16 does work. It gets you 12 equals 12. So your answer works for that one. Let's try 1 now. Now I could stop right here when I answer this part, when I check this solution. Right there is where I could stop because I have the square root of 9 equals negative 3. Now what you guys should know is, remember, square roots cannot equal negative numbers. Well, you could keep going if you want to. The square root of 9 is, sorry, I should put my question marks on there. Square root of 9 is 3. Does that equal negative 3? No, that is not true. So that does not work. So that means that even though we found two answers, we really only have one answer, and our solution is x equals 16. This is why we check our solutions. Make sure you check your answers. All right, I want you guys to try both of these two problems. In fact, you know what? Just try the first problem up there. Try that problem. I'll put up the answer in 1 second for you. All right, here's my solution here. If you guys notice, step by step, I changed colors for you so you guys can see. If you notice on the left, there was only one solution because I checked 2, and 2 did not work because it got a square root equals a negative number. Check your work. Let me know if you have questions. All right, that is all the problems I'm actually going to do for this section, so make sure you rewatch anything you need to rewatch, do your work, and let me know if you guys have any questions. Otherwise, good luck with that.